Celiac disease is a genetic autoimmune disorder that affects the small intestine, causing self-destruction or damage to the lining of the intestine when gluten is consumed. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. When someone with celiac disease eats gluten, their immune system reacts and damages the villi, or hair-like structures that line the small intestine. They play an important role in nutrient absorption, so damage can lead to malabsorption of nutrients and other health problems. The symptoms of celiac disease can vary widely and include things such as diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain, bloating, weight loss, anemia, and even fatigue. Celiac disease is also chronic, so it's a lifelong condition with no cure. The only treatment is a strict gluten-free diet, which is why it's so important for us to learn more about the disease. This feat, however, is challenging as gluten can be found in many foods, including bread, pasta, cereal, and even some sauces and condiments. However, with proper treatment, people with celiac disease can live healthy, active lives. To provide your students with the best nutrition support, here are a few ways or steps that you can do. The most important being promoting a supportive and inclusive learning environment and to treat students with celiac disease the same as other students. You should also know your role in helping a student after a gluten exposure. These can be things like contacting the child's parent or guardian, seeking further medical attention if the child vomits or appears severely dehydrated. You can also collaborate with the learning environment's food service provider and the district's dietitian to ensure food safety. In addition, it's also important to understand and be knowledgeable about federal and state laws that apply to celiac disease. We'll discuss this further later in the video. Here are some meal and snack alternatives that can help create a happy and safe eating environment for a child with celiac disease. One popular meal I remember eating is pizza on Fridays. So to adapt this to someone who can't have gluten is to simply use a gluten-free crust and sauce. This means a change in flour can make the difference in whether or not the child can have it. Some others include exchanging spaghetti noodles for gluten alternatives or pasta substitutions in general. For breakfast, there could even be a gluten-free waffle option. To create the best environment, there should always be access to naturally gluten-free food, which I'll discuss shortly. Some snacks include gluten-free crackers, fruit bars that have no gluten additives like fruit leather or just fruit in general, and chocolate for those moments when a classroom needs or is having a dessert party and needs a baked good alternative. Having a strong understanding of gluten-free ingredients will help the daily management of a child with celiac disease. In their natural form, fresh fruits and vegetables, even eggs, meats, seafood, tofu, legumes, and unflavored dairy products are naturally gluten-free. In the table below, I have provided you with a list of ingredients that are naturally gluten-free and will not provide any complications to the child with celiac disease. Finally, there are a few federal laws and policies that govern celiac disease in the learning environment. To begin, there are no federal laws requiring that a product be labeled as gluten-free, but there is a gluten-free food labeling rule. It is a completely voluntary disclosure, but it does allow consumers to have a consistent understanding of the levels of gluten in the product. To be labeled as gluten-free, it must exclude any ingredient containing gluten or contain less than 20 parts per million of gluten. Students with celiac disease should also have a 504 plan filed with the school that states that the student has the disease. This act prohibits discrimination and ensures that any student covered under Section 504 should be allowed any modifications that allow the student to meet learning environment needs. Celiac disease is also covered under the Americans with Disabilities Acts of 1990, so they qualify for protection under this law. The National School Lunch Act of 1946 was created to provide qualified students free or reduced cost school lunch meals. This means a gluten-free option for students is included in a qualified student's right to have a free or reduced lunch. Thank you for watching this Let Us Learn video on celiac disease. I'm Michaela King, and if you would like to learn more, visit celiac.org.